There's so much sugar in Gatorade.
I easily go on. Okay. Keep going.
On to Deshaun Watson.
Let's just keep going.
It is hard to imagine the Texans can't find a way to make things work, but Deshaun was left on the outside of the team's GM search, and the team was somehow not all in on his preferred coach candidates. Thus, Deshaun is now reportedly not returning the Texans' phone calls. Yeah, but did you try texting or DMing? Maybe Wild's Bird can deliver a petition. Either way, they cannot get in touch with him. Brandon, you were way ahead of this story. Here's what you said last Wednesday.
So Deshaun Watson is looking at this thing and saying, well, I don't know if I'm comfortable here. And there's other players like Dwayne Brown stepping up and saying, I wasn't comfortable there. This is a big story, and I think this is just the beginning, Nick.
All right, Brandon, that was last week. So now, today, as we sit here this morning, has Deshaun, in your opinion, played his last game with the Houston Texans?
Absolutely. We will never see Deshaun Watson in a Texans uniform again. There's two things here that you got to look at. One, you got to think about this organization and how they play, the role they've played or not played when it comes to social injustice and just being leaders in the community. They have shown you who they are, right? Time and time again. So when you look at that during these times, 2020, racial tension soaring, talk about it all the time. How do you have a black quarterback and you handle these situations this way? And then on the other end of the spectrum, you look at the football team, it's like, why should he come back? You trade away my best player, DeAndre Hopkins. He goes out and have an all-pro, Pro Bowl type year. And then you look at the offensive line, they're just okay. And then on the defensive side, you really don't have anything over there. So if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm looking at this situation like, this is my time to get out for those two reasons. Ownership is a mess. And then on the field, we have no clue what we're doing. We have no GM. We have no head coach. Now, obviously, they're going through, they're doing their diligence and trying to fill those gaps. But at the same time, this is not a team that can go out there and compete next year. This is a team that is 3-4 years away when you look at their salary cap and you also look at what they have in the draft, which is almost nothing, Nick.
Yeah, so I agree with almost all of that. But if I'm the Houston Texans, the only thing I have is Deshaun Watson. And so if I'm going to trade Deshaun Watson, I see people are tweeting me like, hey, could the Patriots get him for 3 first-round picks? No, you can't. Laramie Tunsil went for 2 first-round picks. Jamal Adams went for 2 first-round picks. Jalen Ramsey went for 2 first-round picks. I wouldn't trade Deshaun Watson for all 3 of those players. That's 6 first-round picks. So Wilds, I am going to create a new marketplace. I'm going to try to be an innovator here. Here is the trade that San Francisco or whomever should offer. It's never been done before. You give us Deshaun Watson. We give you our first-round pick every year he's on the roster in perpetuity.
Is that allowed?
So as long as he's our quarterback, sure, you could, until we trade or cut him ourselves, you get our first-round pick.
Yeah.
If you want to put an expiration date on it of 2029 where it caps out at 9 first-rounders, fine. But that's the trade. That's the only trade I would consider if I were the Texans. Otherwise, you can't get fair value. So you want Deshaun. I want your first-round pick every year he's on your roster. The moment you decide he's not worth it, you cut him and your obligation expires. You no longer owe us anything. But if he's your quarterback, we get your first-round pick. Otherwise, there's no value here. The whole point of the draft is to try to find a franchise quarterback. Deshaun Watson is 25. Everyone's like, oh, you know how old Lamar is? You know, everyone compares him to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's 24. Deshaun's 25. You can't trade this player unless you are getting franchise-changing equity, Wilds.
I love it. All right, so I've got my own offer. I think the Jets need to make the Bizarro Godfather offer. Here's why I'm calling it the Bizarro Godfather offer. Think Michael Corleone at Lake Como, and you got that corrupt senator in there. The senator's Nick Caserio at this point. Caserio? You can have my offer now if you like. My offer is this: everything. Everything you want, whatever you want. Look in the Jets draft capital, suitcase, and you can take it all, including the gaming license, which I will pay for personally. Because here's what's happened to the Jets, Brandon, and you can get your carrot top, bag of props ready. The Jets went from, hey, should Trevor Lawrence skip the NFL draft and stay in Clemson, or should he just pout his way somewhere else? To Deshaun Watson last night going to a Nets game and making a full-on music video set to the Diplomats' I'm Ready. If you have, I cannot imagine a more obvious signal to New York media than Deshaun Watson making a music video to the song I'm Ready, Brandon, to get Joe Douglas, who is a huge Diplomats fan, I've heard, the big heads up and like, hey, buddy, I'm ready. Come and get me. So to me, Joe Douglas needs to make a bizarro Godfather offer, anything you want.
Listen, it doesn't get more New York than this. I mean, this dude literally took a page out of Paid in Full. What is Paid in Full? Is a movie released in 2002
exactly. Boom.
with Mekhi Phifer.
That's the car from Paid in Full.
Of them being in Harlem, 100%. So this dude is telling you exactly what he wants. He wants out of Houston,
Let's go.
and he wants to come to my Jets, 100%. I absolutely love this move by Deshaun Watson. But, Nick, I want to go back to you quickly. This is bigger than just football. So when you talk about getting value and going through the different scenarios, I disagree with you. If it was all about football, 100%, I think it's hard to get a deal done. But now we're talking about an organization going back 4 years ago when Colin Kaepernick took his first knee, and how they botched that situation with Dwayne Brown and what the owner said.
Brandon.
Right? So this is bigger. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that entirely. Sorry for interrupting you. And for the audience that doesn't know it, I was down there when that happened. I was down there. I lived in Houston. I covered the team. That's what I did before I worked for Fox. So I know how far back this goes. And I understand for Deshaun, it is deeper than just football. What I am saying, if I'm the Texans, you are the only thing between you and total irrelevance is Deshaun Watson.
That's their fault.
If you are giving him up, I agree with you. I agree with you, but he can't trade himself. And so if you're giving him up, I just think if the return is 3 first-round picks, they butchered this. Like, it will be Nick Caserio, it'll be grand opening, grand closing, if that's the return. And
that's exactly what's going to happen. When they made the decision to trade DeAndre Hopkins, when they made the decision to say, look, we're going to have you in this meeting and a part of this process, and they went to the other end of the spectrum, they made that decision that they were going to tear up their entire organization. Deshaun Watson's not going to play in Houston again, and now they have to deal with that for the next 10, 15 years. That's on them. That's on ownership for being exactly who they are.
I agree with that.
And by the way, back page of the Post, whatever it takes, what W8 Watson. Guess who liked the picture? One Deshaun Watson. He's all in on Brandon Marshall's take. Time for Nick's NBA medals. Steph Curry had a game-high 26 as the Warriors rallied from down 14 in the fourth to beat the Lakers. But what? Steph missed out on the medal stand? How is it possible? Nick, who are the 3 players that did more than Steph Curry last night?